Morning, Chinua. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yeah, Chino.
Ooh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us for the Between the Lines author series. Thank you so much for this conversation. It means a lot. Just to start with, I think I already asked how you were doing, but for the gram, how are you now? And yeah, I'm curious. Where are you now? What city are you in?
Oh, I am in Lincoln, Nebraska, the states in the Midwest of United States.
I hear Nebraska. My closest brush with Nebraska is a Lady Gaga song. So what's Nebraska like? Like, if you could tell me about it, how long have you been
I
there?
think this should be for approximately 4 or 5 years, I think. So it's a quiet place, very quiet. I mean Lincoln, where I am, not Nebraska, the state.
Oh, does Lincoln have like trees? Does it have like parks?
Enough trees, you will see enough trees. They have enough empty land. I think it's one of the states you will be, you will see nature, land, trees, bird. Is that Nebraska of it to be that way? And then the worst part of it is that when it snows, it's bad. It's cold. Yeah, but it's not equivalent to that of Alaska. But when it snows, when it decides to get cold, it gets cold.
What was the highest level of inches of snow that you've had like this year so far?
I frankly speaking, I've never measured it, but it has not gotten worse, really worse, since I came here. I can't tell, because I've never paid attention to measuring it. The only thing I can say is that it's white. I like the white. They're so fit.
Yeah, I'm very fascinated by cities, and the city where you spend a lot of time as an artist, as a writer, it affects you subconsciously. What I write in Jos. When I go to Abuja, there's a difference. Abuja, I'm a lot more stressed. I talk faster. I'm gesticulating like this, but in Jos, I'm calm. Does Lincoln have like a very, very vibrant literary scene, or it's just quiet and it's just where you think?
Yeah, for the literary scene, no, it doesn't. But I would say that the neighboring city, Omaha, do have the vibrantness or having a serious touch of literature. Most poetry slams, even artists, performers who come to this state, all of them end up in Omaha, performing in Omaha. So because Omaha is bigger than Lincoln, you have a good number of people living there. I would say in my own lens that Lincoln is not that vibrant, coming to literature. The only thing Lincoln have here are universities. University of, I think about 3 or 4 universities in this city. Funny enough, it is the capital of Nebraska. I don't know if you're familiar with Anambra State in Nigeria, if you have been to Anambra State. But I know everybody knows Onitsha due to its market, right?
Yeah.
So the capital of Anambra is Oka, and then there is Onitsha. Onitsha is vibrant, busier than Oka. So that's how it is here. For Omaha, it is busier, vibrant than Lincoln. So I think it was a deliberate move for them to make Lincoln the capital.
I think for Anambra, I have been to Oka. I stopped there
Yeah, Oka. Yeah.
once, and then I've passed by a lot of times down to Uyo, down to Port Harcourt. Now, moving into you, you have been in the United States for 5 years. I'm curious to how like you have changed. Coming from or what has changed with you, coming from Nigeria, Anambra, all the way to Nebraska. I mean, the both places end with A, but I mean there are a whole lot of letters that are different with them.
So yeah, and first of all, I just did good calculation. I think it is actually 4 years. By calculating it, I think it's just 4 years so far.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still the same. The only difference is that I have working environment. I have accessibility to certain things, materials available to me, regarding my work. I get to meet some persons, in this field, my peers or the professors. I think it has also given me an edge somehow towards opportunities, right? Which is the truth. Being me in the me person, it has also reminded me a lot regarding race, regarding nationality, and regarding my language and regarding my accent. It has reminded me a lot. It has also shaped me a lot. It has also, being here comes with its experiences And as we all know, we are aware of the immigration, policies and everything that keeps changing. Being here every day, I wake up, I am reminded I am Nigerian. So a lot of people have said this in their own ways, in their various ways, but you are constantly reminded that you are Nigerian, and that begs the question, actually, what is home? Where is home? How do you embrace home? So there are so many tropes regarding being here and being far away from home, being far away from your family. When they say professor, they not actually mean you have been awarded a doctorate. It means that you are teaching in a university. Like they use it that way, not and also use it when you are awarded a PhD, and then you walk to the professorship, right? But most of the times here, it is common that a professor is someone who teaches in a university. So when I use professor here, I mean that teaching in a university. There is a shift, coming from being a professor, teaching in a university in Nigeria, and coming here, completing a PhD. Being exposed in working with people of different backgrounds, because human beings, as we all know, we are difficult, if not all the time. Yes, we are, with our various ideas, various ideologies, various stands in point, various ways of seeing life, and sometimes all these things conflict with one another. And then coming from a different culture, staying 4 years here is not even enough for you to to overcome or get attuned to the cultural shock. You keep getting those shocks every time. There are so many angles to this, but in all these things, if I say I'm not changed, I'm still the same, I am still right. If I say I've also changed, I'm still right. So I am everything that is Chinua. So I can't actually pinpoint if I have changed or not. But I think I keep learning new things.
Tell me one thing in Lincoln that reminds you of back home.
The African store. The African store. I go there and I see I buy the items I want to buy, and I make my food. I don't eat outside, so I make my food all the time. And then I have a wonderful African community regarding football. So we play football all the time on Friday. So when I go there, I see a lot of Nigerians and I see a lot of Ghanaians. And we banter and we play, we have fun, and I feel at home when I do these things.
Okay, but one more question about the football. What position do you play? Defender, midfielder, a forward, or a goalkeeper?
So they're always in the forward. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't like being in the back. I'm always in the forward. Actually, I play football. When I say extremely well, I mean it's extremely well. If not writing, I would have been a football player.
What made writing win over football? Because we might have needed you at the AFCON to play some penalties.
I don't want to cause some names, but I would have scored a goal, an easy goal with a penalty shootout. I would say it's opportunity and expenses, and you have to know someone. And we don't have well-funded or good-standing academies in our country, Nigeria. We don't have that. And there's also the idea that you have to pay your way through.
Switching over to writing now. Okay, I'm very interested in what you read as a child that made you look at this profession or this art of self-expression and say, okay, I can do this. Because in Nigeria, writing is it's almost a one-way street to poverty. I'm sorry to be that harsh, but I look at my account sometimes and I'm like, I know why it's empty. So why? When did you decide that, I'm going to write, and then, this is it? And then when the opportunity came, you're going to stick in there until you got that opportunity, and then you left.
So as a kid, to tell you about my life, I don't think I decided to be a writer. I didn't think that. First of all, I wanted to be an inventor, someone. And I was looking, because when I was in primary school, you would go to school and they would tell you who invented the telephone, Graham Bell. In as much as now, accounts is debunking that, that it's an African person who invented the telephone or something, or it was copied or something like that. But actually, when I was in primary school, we invented the telephone, Graham Bell. He invented this. Someone names is Isaac Newton. Someone is always mentioned, and I wanted my name to be mentioned. So I started looking for what to invent. I decided that I was going to invent a wristwatch that anyone could use in watching television. And then my father, being a movie man and man of books as well, we are watching, I think, Mr. Nice Guy, starred by Jackie Chan. And in one of the scenes, someone was being monitored through a palm top, like a small computer, held by the hand. And I saw that it was very late, and I said, how was somebody able to minimize? I thought that television screen is something always big. If it is to be small, it can be as small as 12 inches of a television then. And then I saw something reduced to that inches, and someone is held it in the hand. And I said, if someone has already invented something like our phones, already, someone has invented the wristwatch you can use in watching television. So I told my dad to buy me a little television, just to let me prove myself. Let me tell myself, someone has invented that. Only for my dad to travel to Germany for months and come back, and he got me that device operated by battery. Casio. Actually, I have that device. It's just in my traveling bag. So I would have brought it out if I don't know you would have asked this question to prove to you that I still kept it till today. And I saw that. I said, no. There's nothing I'm thinking that has not been invented. Luckily for me, I was also drawing then. So I draw. I decided to be, a painter. I didn't decide I'm going to be a writer. I didn't decide that. Until one day, I stumbled upon my father's book. And before I stumbled upon my father's book, I'll go to the shelf, because I've been thinking I was the only one that had this name, Chinua. Only for me to go to the bookshelf, and I saw on the spine of a book, Chinua Achebe. I was like, who is this person with my name? Without even knowing that I was named after him. I saw the book, the cover was painted, and I flipped in. There was no painting inside, there was no illustration inside. Was so uninterested in such a thing. So that is to tell you that I didn't read Things Fall Apart until I was an undergraduate in the university, because I didn't like book. I saw my father's poetry collection, I think The Voice of the Night Masquerade, in the house. I was like, wow, my surname on a book? I opened it. I didn't know that my father was a writer, actually. I was just growing up and enjoying life and enjoying the freedom and enjoying the abundance and everything. So I saw it. I was like, wow, that's interesting. I opened the first page. I read the lines. They were captivating. I opened another one. I read the lines. And as much as I didn't understand what I was reading, but that there are some lines I could understand at that age. These lines were so captivating. I wrote some things. Copying my dad or imitating my dad. And I went and showed him. He just read it. I think he read just 1, 2, 3 lines from the writing. And he just smiled and said, Chinua, just put your feelings down. I think that's what I've been doing all these years, putting my feelings down. I am always this person that I have to be doing, so I need something doing at any point. If I'm not doing something, my body is not at ease. And in secondary school, in boarding school, there are routines to follow. This is time for this is time for this. And some of those times that we are doing such things, I didn't like the activities. That's how I started reading. And I started with Songs of Solomon. Because I would write letters to girls. And then I decided to even read beyond Songs of Solomon. From the Bible. I read other books. Truth be told, at that young age, I was questioning everything I read in the book. This is not possible. This is not possible. Why this? Why that? And then I started reading books by European. I read Tarzan. I also read The Scent. So The Scent book, I think it was modeled after James Bond. It was written by Leslie Charteris. I finished those series. I think I read Brave New World. And then I also read Arthur Conan Doyle. And then my mother came to me one day and told me, well, you have to balance your reading. Kept on pushing me to read African books. And then I read, I think The Old Man and the Medal and other books. So many African. I was like, wow, it opened a new world for me. Those times I read foreign books, I was also writing. All these books are in my house in Nigeria. So I have like those thick notebooks. You have been making notes in secondary school, about 2 filled with stories. I was just writing, and all of them were modeled after the foreign books I read. And then when I started reading these African books, I started having a realization. I started understanding my environment. I started being initiated into African literature and African worldview. These things helped me to become who I am. Helped my grammar, especially my grammar. I'll tell you, it helped my grammar when I was in secondary school. It helped my grammar. Because in my house, my mom was a professor, my dad was a professor. In our house, English was banned. You don't speak English, you speak Igbo. And even when I tried speaking Pidgin, we are not allowed. I had to learn the English language as a second language. So I learned it. Even till today, I would say that I'm not perfect in English. I pride myself in saying that I speak wonderful Igbo.
Yeah, I was going to ask why you got into poetry, but I think I can already see from your background that, you read your dad's poetry.
It was the first thing I encountered.
Yeah, it was the first thing you encountered. And when you say you picked up English as a second language, even I can see the way you even write your lines, the way you even present those proverbs. You break the language in a way that I can feel, that Igbo spirit inside, I presume that the name in the book, Chinụalụmọgụ, I don't know if I pronounce it correctly.
Yeah, Chinụalụmọgụ.
Oh,
Yes.
So I believe that is you. So like this, your poetry book, the naming, it carries a lot of autobiographical elements, yes?
Yes. Meeting my ancestors, or meeting people who came before me, my father, my experiences, where I come from, Nigeria. To talk about the book in full. This is it.
First thing I'm interested about the book is the naming. What are you naming in the naming?
What I am naming in the naming, there are a lot. I am naming, first of all, names, my ancestors who came before me. There are litanies of them. Like I traced about 11 generations where I come from in Nigeria to this moment. And why I did that is because of my position in the family. When you are the head of your clan and at the same time the head of your kindred through the first sons, you have to know. So I started asking questions, and I realized, all these things. So I even got their names. I have the book before me, so I have the names, all of them. People who came before me. And I have. And it started with Ishigbo, and Ishigbo is the town, my town. It was named after this man who founded that place, Ishigbo. And Ishigbo fathered Owerri, and Owerri fathered Iduma. Iduma fathered Obashi. Obashi fathered Ibegwa. Ibegwa fathered Ohaeto. Ohaeto fathered Ogbonna. Ogbonna fathered my father, who was Ezenwa, and Ezenwa gave birth to me, Chinụalụmọgụ. So these are people I'm naming, and I went to them and I'm asking them for guidance, for help, how to help me to see the future, how to help me see what I don't understand, and how to help me understand my past and my present. I'm also naming my present, I'm also naming my experiences, I'm also naming problems in my country and problems in my life. So I am naming all these things before my ancestors, before people who came before me, together with my kinsman. But my kinsman can also be kinswoman, can also be kinspatriots, like my compatriots. You included is also a kinsman. Let's go and ask questions, because in that way, in asking, we'll find our way. So I'm naming all these things, naming them out so that people will know. So that's why I titled it the naming.
So this is also a follow-up question. The naming. What is in a name?
When you give something a name, you are giving it power. You are giving it relevance. You are also removing power. You are also making the thing irrelevant through naming. Have you ever wondered, just in the common analogy, if what you call a chair is actually a chair? Why is this called a chair? What makes it a chair? Even in your language, why is it called that thing in your language? Why is it chair? Sometimes in Igbo, things are tonal, things are active. When I mean active, it can also be descriptive. But in English, it is not always descriptive. Like if you go to some languages, for them to say a chair, they'll tell you in their language, in their dialect, a place to sit or a sitting place, something you can sit with. In English, it's just chair. So now, if you have not been named what you've been named, what will you actually name yourself? What will you identify with? Sometimes I wish human beings are allowed to name themselves rather than their parents. Sometimes I wish that. That's why people have nicknames. So name is powerful, and at the same time, people use it, countries use it to do what they like, to categorize, to malign, to empower, and actually to disempower. And Igbo people will tell you, someone names follows the person. My name means in Igbo is my personal God is fighting for me. And I tell my peers, my friends, that I think my name is the king of all names, of all Igbo names. Because when your chi is with you, then other names come. You can say Chidiebere. If your chi is with you, then your chi is good, your chi is wonderful, your chi is blessing you, your chi is faithful. Like for me, I think Chinụalụmọgụ is the king of all. For me, in my stance, it is the king of all Igbo names, because with it, every other thing follows. If your chi is fighting for you, that means your chi is with you. It means your chi loves you. I think name is powerful. Yeah. People use it to do good things and also do terrible things.
The poems that you shared, I read it and it felt like I was looking at Igbo poetry. That's how it felt. Because when I read the poems out, they are always like in sort of like this low register that Igbo is spoken. I'm like I've been thinking so much about how we are a sad generation with happy photographs on social media. So like when I keep reading it, like even if I try to get excited, I find myself falling back into that low register. First, what can you first tell us about like poetry, the Igbo language, like the history of it, and then what is it about that poetry that excites you so much? Because I feel like I get the sense that you've read a lot of Igbo poetry, or maybe you've listened to a lot of like Igbo poetry.
Yeah, so I love what they call mbem. But it's kind of a spoken word poetry, if we are to use the English to describe it, a spoken word poetry. And it is always used, like we have the masquerade who chants. We have people who chant now to praise people, to talk about life. We have the Dibias who also chant, the medicine men who also chant. Particularly, I'm interested in Mbem. Mbem is a wonderful rendition by the Igbo people. I am so sad that till today I cannot render an Mbem in Igbo. It's a craft. It's actually a craft. You have to be crafted so you have to be sharp, super intelligent to use various elements to say what you are saying. And they are strings of experiences, strings of observation, strings of praises. You string them together, it has no end until the renderer or the chanter decides to stop. And it is very evocative. When somebody begins it here, you will marvel. There is this Igbo group, Ajofia Newi. You can Google it on YouTube. You can listen to that guy. But the unfortunate thing is that maybe you don't understand Igbo. So that's where the problem might be for you. So this Ajofia Newi person, he sometimes he does the mbem, but he musicalizes it. And I love it. So I'm exposed to these things. I also know where I come from. I understand everything about it. I also took some of those elements and moved it into English language. It was difficult. That poetry is only sweet in the Igbo dialect. When I tried doing it in English, it was difficult. So all these things, I took, to my writing. wanted to maintain that Igbo culture using English, because actually we have evolved with the history and everything happening to us. I write in Igbo perfectly well.
Yeah. I could taste that. And there were so many elements, I think, in the poetry, just in the text, just like even like the picture, the visuals, that I knew that this writer is not thinking in English at all. I can tell you that for free.
Yeah.
Particularly was the idea of the monkey's hand. Because I think I had a conversation
Yes.
with a Barbadian writer, Andy Davis, and she also had something to do with monkeys. And in the middle of the conversation, she was like, "Oh yeah, there was the Igbo landing at Barbados," and I was like, "Really?" She said, "Yeah, lots of people in Barbados were Igbo landing."
Oh, there's also in Barbados, yes.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
and they are very, very big on monkeys. Like the monkey population troubles them. And then I'm seeing monkeys in your work, and I'm like, okay, so what is the significance of like that monkey? What is that weight of it? Like to the let's say Igbo imagination.
Yeah, the monkey's hand. Yeah. So in Igbo, we have a saying that goes this way: "Wepo akenwe no fe." It means remove the monkey's hand from the soup pot, which can mean many things depending on situation, which means stop being mischievous, don't allow an outsider to spoil your thing. So it can be interpreted in many ways. So it is that removing the monkey's hand from the pot that I also moved into English, the monkey's hand, which has come into the soup pot, which is my life, my experiences, and my country, Nigeria. Now I'm telling my ancestors, how do I remove that monkey's hand from the cooking pot or from the soup pot? So it was usually told to me by my mom when I was growing up. She would tell me, whenever I'm mischievous or whenever I'm mischievous, or China, don't allow the monkey's hand to be in the pot. Behave well, do this, do that. So it stuck with me, And I think any core Igbo person who sees that line will know that it actually remove the monkey's hand from the cooking pot or from the soup pot. Yes. So I use the monkey's hand symbolically to mean problems, bad experiences, itches, worries, and so on. Because if you get to the middle of the book, you see a lot of the worries there.
I see that you also like. I think I'll start from that about your childhood. There is a lot of romanticization. I mean, it's a Nigerian thing because the Nigeria of my childhood is very different from the Nigeria of my teenage. And now I'm even heading into a completely new, different Nigeria. I saw teeth, and I'm thinking, what kind of childhood in Nigeria makes one think of tooth fairies or lizards as tooth fairies? Because I didn't have that experience. I didn't even know that, I could.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, from the Igbo people, for the children, lizards were our tooth fairies when I was growing up. I remember when I was, I think I was in primary 2, 3, and then I was playing football with those in primary 6. Then those in primary 6 were huge. Yeah, when I went to school, those in primary 6 then were huge, and I was playing football with them, and one of them kicked the ball so hard it got to my mouth and took off my milk teeth. And then my friends would say that I should throw it to the zinc so that a lizard will take the tooth so that I can grow back the good ones. So I did those things, and I even saw my playmates. Whenever my playmates, lose their tooth or teeth, they would throw them to the roof zinc, so that lizard would pick them up and take it to the spirit world so that they will grow back. We didn't know that it was natural for us to lose our teeth then. And they will actually grow back. It was one of my real experiences that I had to transport into the book. Generations now, I don't think they even know that there is something like lizards taking your teeth to the spirit world.
I think I know your childhood was eventful because I think there was a line where you said you used to drill juice packs in the fridge. And me, I was like,
oh no! Yeah.
I was like,
oh my!
I did not think of that. I would have had more juice.
Me? I would drill it in a tiny place, drill it, and sometimes I would fill it back with water. And sometimes my parents will hold me and tell me, Chino, why did you do that? I will cry. I say, Mom, I don't do it. The people we buy it from will be blamed for what I did. I love my childhood so much. I have a wonderful experience.
When you write about I've been thinking how much we are a sad generation with happy photographs in social media. I want to understand what I cannot hear. I want to hear what I cannot understand.
You cannot understand.
Yeah, and then there's a part where you talk about how the fire in their eyes change when they talk about their dreams. I thought that was incredibly profound.
Yes.
You really do believe that we are a generation that has stopped dreaming, or are we just heading there?
So when I talk about the photograph part, is that these days, truth be told, people compare themselves with pictures they see online of people. They end up traumatizing themselves instead of facing their life or telling themselves the truth. Someone might just be fortunate to go to Abuja, example, to go to Abuja and take picture in this big restaurant and then post it online without telling us how much they spent, without telling us how long it took them to save the money to make that trip to that restaurant or spend that money one night. And then someone is seeing it online and they are sad and they are beating themselves that they don't have such amount of money to make such a thing, without even understanding why, how, and when, and how long it took that person to get to that place and do that. I am not saying to be challenged by someone else's progress so that you make progress is wrong. That is healthy competition. Someone is challenging you to make progress. But when it becomes something that traumatizes you, something that makes you sad, or something that makes you look beyond your happiness, your life, is a problem. People are competing online, putting a lot of pictures, videos. I am here, I am there, I am driving this, and someone who at that moment in their life, they know that they cannot afford that. Instead of looking for ways to move forward, telling themselves that human beings are not equal every time, because we are not equal. The truth be told, we are not equal financially, socially, politically, which is beyond our control. Some people got there the rightly, some people got there through the back door. But that aside, and then someone is on his phone who also might be struggling to even recharge their phone to be on internet, is now beating themselves up because of where someone else is in their life, without knowing the journey the person took to get there. I love being challenged to make move to get to another point, but I don't like how these pictures and video makes us to feel sad and sometimes push some of us to go and do bad things so that we can have what others have. That is what I mean by that sad generation. And we are actually sad, sometimes by our making, sometimes by what our leaders have put us through and has placed us in a particular time. Check what has happened in the past 6 months. We are frankly a sad generation. But for the dreaming is that, sometimes things will beat you up, situation will beat you up, and then your dreams, you see that you can't achieve your dreams because of your situation. But then again, in certain moments we are talking about something with someone and they start sharing their dreams, and you see that they are very passionate about their dreams, just that they are in an environment that won't or cannot enable that dream. So that's what I was trying to picture there. When you speak to people, you see that through their words that these people are passionate about their dreams, but because of the situation they are in, they can't move forward.
I will follow that up with I think a 4-liner from your poem where you write, so, dear country, my place of birth, I'm staring at your chest. I will name the ugly things in there together. So that really centered me because,
Together with your tiger claws.
Yeah, together with your tiger claws, yes. So I thought of, I first thought of a chest, like a human chest, because, that's where like you have a lot of the important organs. And, when you start at the chest and you see the ugly things, I don't know, that sounds like, a dying person. Then I circled that word chest into like a chest should be a place where normally you should find treasure. But there is no treasure. If there are ugly things there, then there are definitely no treasures. So the question I wanted to ask was, who read Proverbs to you as a child? Because there are lots of Proverbs here.
For the Proverbs, in the note of the book, I mentioned that I also learned a lot from my dad. So my dad also did some proverbs in his writings. Yeah, being an Igbo person, like if somebody wants to talk to you about something bad you have done, they'll use one analogy. Technically, almost all the time, a proverb. Like I just told you, about the monkey's hand. There is no situation. There is no situation that any imaginable thing that anybody can commit or do, whether bad or good in this life, that there is no Igbo saying, a proverb for that situation. There is none. I don't know a lot, but I know a few, and I'm happy I know a few, and it has helped me a lot. So I transported such the few I know into the poetry.
Well, I remember because when I used to watch old Nollywood, when Chinua, whenever he's about to start saying something, he starts with proverbs. They say a man that falls from a tree does not know when the tree will be cut. Something like that. For the amount of poetry I read, I could see that sometimes it felt as if you cut yourself open and you were bleeding. So I really want to appreciate that vulnerability, because it's with the bleeding comes another question that I want to ask, because your father has come up about 4 times in this conversation. So what can you tell us about your father?
I didn't know my father was the writer when I was young. It was at a later age. I didn't know how important or how big he was in the writing until years after he died. I didn't know. And truth be told, I am fortunate to have the name he has built. It has also opened doors for me. It has made me meet some persons who have been helpful to my life. Sometimes I get stuck and I would pray to my ancestors, pray to my personal God, please come to my aid. And one of those aids was one of my father's friends from nowhere. And during one of such walks, I reached out to someone and did my assignments. Only for the person at that moment I was praying told me that, are you the son of this person? That this person, I met him in Germany and we were together. I said, yes, I'm the son. And that's how my problem at that moment got solved. There are so many other instances, so too numerous to mention. He was a great man, and one thing I would always say is that he did a lot in a very short time of his life on earth. And I was wondering if he had lived longer, what more he would have done. But he did a lot in a very short time. And I'm nearing that age he died. And I'm like, have I done half of what he has done? I might be waiting it, but I'm living my life. He has lived his. And then one thing I didn't like about it when I was growing up was some persons were measuring me with my father. My father died at the age of 46, 45. And when I was about 19, 20, somebody was comparing my writing to him. I'm like, I even received one email. It was comparing a submission I made. This was many years ago, was comparing my submission I made when I was still coming up with an established author. That doesn't match. Being a son of somebody doesn't make you that person. Being a son of Cristiano Ronaldo wouldn't make you Cristiano Ronaldo. In my early day, I was compared, in closed doors and to my face, which sometimes I took it as a challenge. And sometimes I didn't find it funny. But that aside, he was a great man. He was a father, and he did fatherly things for me, and I'm happy. Today, I'm happy being his son. I'm happy.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I can tell that you really miss him.
Yes, I do. I wrote something on him for the Republic. I think I did that. Yes, I think he has appeared so many times in my poems.
Yeah, I could see that. I had a conversation in one of the book replace chats. I think I had a conversation with TJ Benson on one of his stories. It's prose. And
TJ.
Yeah, he made mention of his father-son wound that we have seen throughout this generation. How he said it was that they've grown older, and then their fathers are trying to talk to them, and their response is always like, why are you trying to talk to me? I thought when you said we were children, we were not friends. Because like while they were growing up, the fathers had to be these hard presence, the pressures of life. They didn't build up relationships. So you're one of the few people that I've seen that very special male bond that I think is missing, but I'm not sure. So I don't know if at your end you've seen this wound around?
Yeah, I've seen it around. I have heard of it, but I can't speak of it because I didn't experience it.
Of course.
My father was soft at home, and my mother didn't like it.
Wow.
I didn't like it. I'll tell you, I love my mom so much. My mom is since my father left us. My mom has been a stronghold. See, and sometimes when I tell people how old I am, they don't even believe me. Because of the way I talk about my father, the way I talk about my mom, and the way I maybe sometimes I act or behave or speak. I love this childishness to my things. I love it. I'm grateful that you're able to see the childishness in the book. The child boy, because I built it. Going to the ancestors and sharing my experiences. I started from childhood to adulthood to Nigerian problems to personal problems and ended the book there. So I had a wonderful relationship with my dad. I can't say the way people might have experienced this. I don't know it, so I can't speak of it because I don't know such experience. I didn't know such experience.
Is there anything you can say to, those of us who we don't remember our fathers like that? Like maybe like something, maybe anything that can give us to fix this wound, steps to take.
Implore people to initiate a conversation with their fathers, because when you were a child, when you were a young boy, a teenager, and what he was experiencing, and now that you're an adult, they see us differently in such stages. He wouldn't talk to you as man to man, as when you were a boy or when you're a teenager. No, I don't think they normally do that. And again, due to the way our society is structured, I can't say anything because I don't have a child yet. But I can say that when someone comes of an adult, I think as an adult, you can speak to your father, and you will see that he will speak to you differently. Do you know such a situation where you have built something, developed an image before someone? It will be difficult for a dad to break that image of what, maybe because of pride, maybe because of, I can't tell, other factors. But sometimes it's good to have a discussion. You see that having that discussion, a lot of things will be healed. Unless that father is a very difficult father. But any wonderful father, any good father would have that discussion with you, and they will tell you. They will tell the person the truth. I believe in dialogue. Dialogue solves a lot, because sometimes we assume a lot. I assumed a lot when I was growing up, but when I had the discussions, I realized that assumptions weren't a wonderful one. Yeah. So dialogue, I believe in that. Like dialogue, between father and son, between mother and son, between professor and student. Dialogue. Assumption is very harmful.
These are words of wisdom. Really words of wisdom.
Wisdom is what I've learned the hard way.
Of course, like what we say in class is, I think what I always tell like people I talk to, when I teach, I'm like, I can teach you, I may be a good teacher, but in the world of teaching, everybody has agreed that experience is the best teacher. Like, there's nothing we teachers have been able to do about it.
You know why I don't like that? Experience is also a best teacher, but I don't like that best teacher. I don't like that word, the best teacher. I think experience is, I would say experience is a good teacher, not the best, not the best. Even good is too much. If there is something below good, that's where the experience should be. Because when something is teaching you, it should not harm you. You see where I'm going to? If something is teaching you, it should be directing you, not harming you. But experience will harm you. Experience will harm you for you to learn from it. Do you understand? This is where I'm going to. So that's why I say that experience is not the best teacher. It is a good teacher, or maybe something less than good, or it is a teacher. But the best teacher, if something wants to teach you the best way, shouldn't harm you first. But experience will harm you. Sometimes you go through the dark tunnel for you to learn. So that is why I don't like that experience, the best teacher. I don't like that word, best.
I never thought
but
of
if they can say experience, yes, Yeah, imagine all the things we have learned the hard way. Imagine both of us, the things we have learned the hard way, and you tell me it is the best. It wouldn't be the best. Say that harmful sector of that experience shouldn't make it the best. Anything best should love you and wouldn't allow you to go through harm for you to learn. That's my stand. Anybody can say this from another angle, but that's my stand.
I,
You know.
I shall chew on that. I shall take that to my teacher caucus. I'll tell them that there's a new update I just.
That the space is not the best.
Yeah.
Interest.
So I think this one will be for writers, because I think I have to do that.
Yeah.
So for writers who are like interested in how you've bled on the page, how you've been able to evoke these like things from the past, things from like 30 years ago. What can you say about your process that would like help them? Knowing that writers are different anyway, but I believe that there's something that they'll learn
Yes.
from how you go around these things.
I would like to tell them that writing is hard. Writing is hard. Writing is hard. It is hard. It is only a few who make it, and even the few who make it, a few inside that few also make it, because sometimes you write and the book takes time to pick form.
Yeah.
Sometimes you write, people might not be reading it. You can't tell why. There are so many factors. You can say not enough publicity, which I'm grateful to Call Nigeria, for stepping in. And I wrote them. I wrote you guys, and you guys step in, and in the way you guys stepped in is wonderful. There are so many things to talk about this question you asked me. So many, but I will summarize it by saying that sometimes I don't have things to say. But the only thing I say that if your mind, if your body, if everything about you is pushing you to do it, to keep doing it, do it. Sometimes I ask myself every time, who made me to be in this field? Why am I in this field? Why? But then again, you see that if you are making comparison, poets don't make much money as that of novelists. When a company, the publisher buys your book, there's a money they pay. That is what that money is called, but let me just call it money. You have to check the amounts they pay top writers when they contract new books. The money that comes with the contract, you will see that sometimes poets are not paid anything. They rely on royalties. But novelists, they, at least some people are lucky to get $10,000, pounds. Some people get up to $500,000 for just selling their manuscripts, including royalties. Royalties will still come, but just for selling that manuscript to that company, you get at least $500,000. Some even sell, depending on who you are, the company and everything is huge. 200, 300 people are bargaining on your manuscript. But to get to that level, you have to work hard. And some of us are lucky enough on their first book, they are paid that amount of money. Being a poet is also challenging, but for the love of it, we are doing it and we are making it.
This question will be for me. I think this is our second to the last question. Yeah. What poetry book would you recommend to me? Just like from your collection, something that really even transformed poetry for you.
Is it Over Time or the new ones?
Over time, just one that has a profound impact, that's had a profound impact.
I wouldn't say anyone, I wouldn't say there's a particular one that has a profound impact per se, because there are so many books I've encountered and I wish I wrote them. Some poetry collections I've encountered, I wish I was the one that wrote them, but unfortunately I was not the one. But I would say, like, if I'm to mention names, I like reading Syl Shenikuka. Can't remember Syl, then Shenikuka. Then Smoking the Bible, I think that was by Chris Albany, Mohammed Dawes. When someone asks me this question, I need to pay attention because there are lots of them in my head. I need to sit down and compile the list. But to mention at the tip of my hand, when people ask me, I always go for my contemporaries, so that's the way I push my contemporaries.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you are familiar with Romeo. Yeah. I'm sure you are familiar with um, Bwenga Adeoba.
Okay.
Yeah, that he wrote Exodus.
Okay.
Yeah, he wrote Exodus. And there is also Tare Oburumu. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name. Tare Oburumu, for language. There is also this guy, Jide Salawu, Otuke Umukoro, Rasak Malik Bolaho, Bwenga Adeshina, Adedeya Agarao, So there are so many of them. There are so many of us. So what I do is that when people ask me, I just mention my contemporaries. I mention them. There's also Nome Patrick Emeka. So these are wonderful poets. If you don't have access to their books, you can just Google their names and their poems will come up. On magazines, and you see, and I'm sure you will see what I'm trying to say about them, that they are wonderful. So these are wonderful poets. I can say for now. There are so many other wonderful ones. I'm not saying these are the best or these are the best amongst all of us, but these are wonderful poets that I can mention, because I love pushing contemporaries. I don't like anytime I'm asked question, I'll take someone to the past about books. I like taking people to the present so that they will pay attention to these wonderful works that are coming or that are out already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that so much. Thank you so much. Now, I think the final one is about your book. I know you mentioned troubles getting it to Nigeria. Are there any plans on how to get it to us? I don't know. Is there any conversations with any of our distributors?
Yes. Is to have the Nigerian version. So I'm working on it.
If there is any way we can help for the Nigerian version, I mean, you have our email, so as we say here, we'll go put body. We'll talk about it.
Yes,
we'll walk to Robin Heights and tell them distribute to. We'll go and request, because I think the poems I read were really, really, really good. They're very accessible. It's something I would sit down and review when I have the copy. I'll sit down and read it, and then I'll write my review. So I think those are all the questions that I have. Thank you so much for a lovely conversation. You've been very open.
Yeah.
You didn't miss any words at all. Like, if you're going to say it, you said it as it is. It's really thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm happy for this.